What's up, guys? My name is Zach, and today I am driving a 2022 Ford F-250 Super Duty. Up front is a 6.7-liter turbo diesel V8. Down below is a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, I am super excited to be driving this F-250 Super Duty for two reasons. First of all, I love big trucks, but the second reason is the fact that this is actually outfitted with a lot of road trip and towing specific modifications, and this is used almost exclusively as a tow vehicle. So I drive a lot of trucks here on the channel, but oftentimes they're not really used for truck things. They're more ego status mobiles, but this is actually meant to do the work. This truck actually does the work, and I'm excited to share that with you today. But if you would like to share your vehicle with me, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form, takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. But let's get back to that 6.7-liter turbo diesel V8 under the hood. Well, the numbers are what matter here under the hood. Now, it does make 450 horsepower, which is pretty good. However, it makes a beautiful 935 pound-feet of torque. And in the towing world, that's the number you want to care about, which is that torque, which is up near 1,000 pound-feet, which is up near 1,000 foot-pounds. If the world ever stopped turning, I would trust a Ford Power Stroke to get it going once again. Towing a nearly 8,000 pound trailer, as the owner does, says it's an absolute breeze, and that's barely scratching half of the towing capacity available to the F-250 Super Duty. So, pack up the kids and the dog, take them across the country, and the F-250 will barely sweat. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 10-speed automatic transmission. Now, all Super Duties in 2022 got the 10-speed auto. And I do like it, and I trust that Ford has done a good job with picking it out. A lot of people say that the 6-speed was more reliable and more durable, but I don't have any personal experience one way or another, so the 10-speed stays. Last but not least, this particular F-250 Super Duty is 4-wheel drive, and we'll talk about how to select that a little bit later on. How does it feel to drive an F-250 Super Duty? It is big. It is large and in charge. You are looking at the tops of cars when you get up next to them at a stoplight. You have to take turns a little wide because you are a little long. However, visibility is fantastic. Not only out the front, but the side mirrors offer a couple different views. You have several cameras on board as well. So it's going to take some getting used to if you've never driven a vehicle of this size, but it's not as daunting as one might think. With that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a mix of physical and digital gauges. Off to the left is my physical tachometer. Off to the right is my physical speedometer. And in the center, this is my digital screen from Ford. Tons of fantastic information in here. Up top, we have our oil pressure, coolant temperature, fuel, and the turbo boost pressure. And down below, as you've been seeing, you can cycle through a bunch of really unique and nice features. Ford is really good here in the modern era about giving you as much information as they can. Whether that clouds up the cluster and makes it a little hard to read at times, maybe, but I would rather have too much information than not enough. On the steering wheel, on the left, I have my selectors for that screen, as well as my cruise control set. And off to the right, I have my volume, skip track, voice options, and phone options as well. The overall steering wheel does feel pretty dated for a 2022. This truck is less than a year old. However, when buying a Super Duty, you buy it for a purpose and not for vanity, and so that is okay by me. Off to the left, I do have a giant climate control vent, my mirror lights on and off, which is really nice that Ford does this, my headlight options, fog light options, gauge dimmer switches, and my pedal adjustments. I can bring the pedals closer or further away if I am short or tall. Moving out of the door, we have our mirror fold-in button, so this does have wider tow mirrors if you need them. Power mirror adjustments, power folding mirrors, and power windows. And then we do have our memory seat options and lock and unlock. I normally breeze over it, but let's talk about the overhead console. First of all, we do have our sunroof options, lighting, things like that, and a sunglasses holder. We can pop this open, sunglasses in there, of course. But what I really want to talk about is the auxiliary switches. So the owner has actually set up a lot of these auxiliary switches to do several things. And what he told me is that there's actually just a fuse box. It's actually right up on the firewall under the hood up there. I'll show it here. And you just wire whatever you want to that fuse box and then it'll run here. You never have to take this panel off or take the switches out or anything like that. And he, of course, has labeled what each one does. Moving into the center, we have our air brake on and off, traction control on and off, hazard switch, hill descent control, lane keep assist, and our camera button, which is all very nice. However, the centerpiece is, of course, this giant touchscreen. Tons of really, really nice information and options found here. Love seeing this in the F-250 Super Duty. This does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and here's what the camera system looks like. In case you're curious, I think it's okay. It's not like fantastically clear, but it will do the job, help you see around this big behemoth, and that's all I need. Off to the left, we do have our four-wheel drive settings along with our pull-out rear locking differential. In the center, we have our radio options. And off to the right, we have a 12-volt outlet and a standard wall outlet, which is very, very nice to see. Climate controls are found down below all of that. We do have heated and ventilated seats. And of course, dual zone, which is all to the right of the trailer brake adjustments and trailer backup assist. A couple modifications the owner has done is the CB radio found right here, as well as he has added a high idle switch off to the right, which really helps out for camping, warming the vehicle up, and other things like that. Then we do get an openable cubby with a wireless charger, USB-C, as well as USB-A chargers as well. And we move into the center console. Off to the left, I have a giant cubby space for putting whatever the heck I want, whenever the heck I want to put it there. But off to the right, we do have cup holders. So we will do a big friggin' bottle test here in the 2022 Ford F-250 Super Duty, and it does in fact pass. A good rule of thumb with the big friggin' bottle test is that if it can tow a giant trailer, it could probably fit the big friggin' bottle. And so the F-250s have always been very good about it since the late 2000s, and that's no different here. Then we do get the center console and the seats. Like I said, the seats are heated, power, memory, ventilated, but unfortunately, these are actually not the massage seat. Now, some Ford trucks do come with available massaging seats. This particular truck doesn't have it. I don't know how I'll survive. I'm just kidding. I'm fine. Anyway, let's talk about the back seats. All right, so we're in the back of the Ford F-250 Super Duty from 2022, and it is so big. So big. It is huge. I can sit back here and touch my toes, stretch out, do some yoga, do a backflip, and I'm not going to hit the seats in front of me, and this is my driving position. I have well over a foot of space between myself and the seat in front of me. Headroom is also good. I have my glasses on my head and I'm not even touching the ceiling. I get to enjoy this giant skylight. And I do get a 12-volt outlet, USB-C charger, USB-A charger, and a wall outlet, all found amongst the heated seat options. I do have a little center console back here with two cup holders, but I mean, really, I almost need a megaphone just to talk to the people up at the front. I have now, as of the recording of this video, this year, 2023, was the first time I ever rode in the back and drove a Rolls-Royce Ghost seen here. And this has more legroom and is more comfortable than a $486,000 Rolls-Royce. So that $100,000 price tag starts to make a little sense back here. You definitely get a very nice experience in the back. Plus, you're going to be able to fit dogs back here, cats back here, the in-laws, and sometimes all three of those together. So, tons of awesome stuff. Let's hop out. We'll take a quick look at the bed and cargo space, along with a couple modifications back there, and then we'll talk about the looks. All right, we're on the back of the Ford F-250 from 2022, and come in here. Press this button up here, and then the tailgate comes down. Now I do have this step that I can pull out and use that to get up into the bed, which is really, really nice to see. And get a little pole to help pull yourself up and get into. Really, really great features from Ford. I love that they do this. They've been doing this since I want to say like 2015, but I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me there. But you could fold that back in. There you go. Really takes two hands, which is hard to do with a camera. The tailgate is kind of heavy. That is a downside. However, not the biggest downside in the world. There we go. Right back up. A couple other things I want to talk about. The rear hitch, this is a big complaint with Super Duty owners. The stock Ford hitch doesn't really allow for very big hooks to go in here. So that's a modification people normally do. The owner has also put a air compressor on board, and he hooks it up here, added some lights and things like that. So really, really cool to see. One more modification is actually with the fuel tank. He has taken out the 30-some gallon fuel tank and actually put in a 60-gallon fuel tank for added range on the roads. He says he can tow a trailer, a full trailer, for 7 or 8 hours without having to stop for fuel at all, or even get close to it. So very, very cool to see. Now we got to talk about the looks, and I've always found this generation and the modern generation of Super Duty trucks to be rather handsome, although they are large. So let's talk about size. When it comes to these trucks, it seems like people always want to talk about the size, and how can you not? I am 5'11" with these shoes. I'm about 6'1", 6'2", and yes, I do wear them to make my short friends feel inferior, but I wore them today because even a 6-foot person can easily be lost just standing next to a truck like this. Why are these trucks so massive? Well, first of all, if I'm towing a massive trailer, I kind of want a massive truck to even it out. But the real reason is something called the CAFE standards. The CAFE standards are fuel efficiency requirements that every manufacturer has to hit. However, there's somewhat of a loophole. As a vehicle's weight goes up, the requirement for fuel economy goes down. So little economy cars, let's just say, have to get 40 miles per gallon average. That's not the real number. I don't have the real numbers in front of me, but let's just say they have to get 40. And those are, 2,000-3,000 pounds. Well, once you get up to 4,000 pounds, let's say they have to get 25 miles to the gallon. Once you get up to 5,000 pounds, they have to get 19 miles to the gallon. Once they get up past 6,000 pounds, they have to get 15 miles to the gallon. As the weight goes up, the fuel economy requirement goes down. So it's actually in the manufacturer's best interest to make these bigger so they don't have to make them as economical. Now, you can be the judge on whether that's ethical, right, wrong, whatever it might be, but that is why trucks keep getting so much bigger, and that's actually why we currently have an SUV craze here in America, because SUVs and crossovers don't have to be as efficient as little cars. And so, why put the research and design into making a car more efficient when you could just make it bigger and keep using the stuff you've been using? I hope this wasn't a rude awakening to anyone, but if it was, I'm sorry. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving a 2022 Ford F-250 Super Duty? Well, as I mentioned with the size, and we'll talk about now, these trucks are huge, but this gets an okay. This gets a pass for me because this serves a genuine purpose. Towing a giant trailer or giant camper behind you, you want a big vehicle that is not going to quiver at the sight of possibly going up a hill. And that's what this truck offers. Now, you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay a pretty penny for these trucks. But in the almost 1 year of ownership, the owner hasn't done anything but filled it up with diesel and def and done an oil change or two. That's it. It's been incredibly reliable, and he actually came from towing with a 1500 GMC truck and said he had never had more problems with a vehicle than that truck. Now, that is just his experience. I can't say that that's the broad experience with GMC products, but he's been over the moon with the reliability and usability of this F-250. And so if you are looking for a tow rig, something to drive around and bring a trailer, a camper, car hauler, whatever it might be, I highly, highly recommend checking out the Ford F-250 Super Duty. The biggest thing about this truck is that it does it all without a sweat, without complaining, without making you feel out of place asking it to do the hard work. It's like the perfect wait staff at your favorite restaurant. You ask if the music could be turned down a little bit, and they turn it down. You ask if they could fix the wobbly table, and they do, and not with a matchbook, with a specially designed piece. That's what it feels like to drive a truck like this. And that is why you should seek something like this out. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Sean for letting me take out his F-250 Super Duty and showing me all of the really cool things that he's added. This is the perfect tow rig through and through, and if anything else can beat it, I will be seriously impressed. Sean has been fantastic to work with, and I look forward to working with him again in the future. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.